Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I hope you had a great 4th of July and a restful holiday weekend. During the weekend, our staff was preparing and getting ready for the arrival of Hurricane Elsa. And so it's Tuesday morning. We're right after the 11 o'clock update from NOAA. And I wanted to take a few minutes to give you an update and prepare you for the arrival of Tropical Storm Elsa. Okay, over the weekend, as the storm came across the western tip of Cuba, it lost a little of its strength and power, and it was downgraded to a tropical storm. Even though it has entered the lower Gulf region and the temperatures are warm, they're not yet hot by our summer standards. And so what typically happens later in the year as these tropical storms come off the Bahamas or Cuba and they enter the Gulf Stream and the warmer waters of the Gulf, they pick up and re-energize and gain their strength. That did not happen with Elsa. It is going to remain a tropical storm all the way across the path of Florida. And then as it re-energizes and comes into the South Carolina, it returns to a tropical depression and potentially will pick up strength as it goes back out into the Gulf. So let's focus in on our path right now. You can see as of 11 a.m. this is where Elsa was, 25 degrees north, about 83 or 4 degrees west longitude, and it is just past the tip of Florida. You can see that the storm has continued to push further out to the west, leaving South Florida pretty much untouched. We're looking for a landfall up here in north of Crystal River sometime Wednesday at about 8 a.m. We're going to take a look at one more chart that I think will give us more information about how this is going to react and what we anticipate. All right, we're going to take a look at some of the winds overhead. These are what typically are referred to as the steering winds, and this helps direct the hurricane, whether it's going to go more to the west or more to the east. And so I've moved it forward to about 12 noon, and you can see Elsa sitting right out here. It's still getting close to being off of Naples coast. You can see the eye of the hurricane. It's more than 60 miles off coast. Again, that's a good thing. You can see the leading edge of the hurricane right here, and so it's blowing across the southern tip of Florida and moving at a northwestwardly direction. Here's something that is really helping us. You can see this is a part of the storm center, but if you look out here, these are Atlantic winds that are pushing Elsa further to the west and keeping it off the peninsula. So these Atlantic winds have really had a positive impact in steering Elsa away from landfall. Now we're just going to move forward, and we're going to jump up to about 2300 hours. All right, this is 11 o'clock this evening. You can see it's going to be right off of Sarasota by 11 o'clock this evening. That's Tuesday evening. You can see this is a really tight storm. Look how narrow those inner bands are. And so it's a tightly controlled storm. You can see the circular rotation really well. This thing is moving quickly. It's moving at about 14 miles an hour. It has sustained winds of 39, tending to get a little higher. They've seen gusts as high as 73, but it's relatively speaking, this is not going to reach a hurricane level winds. It's going to be a rainfall event, we believe, for the Tampa Bay area, and we're going to see 2 to 4 inches of rain, and we are going to see a coastal surge impact, not so much through Tampa. We will see coastal surge here, but specifically up north of Crystal River, up into the small cities in the bend of the state. Let's move up to Wednesday morning, and we're going to look at 2 o'clock. Okay, Elsa is at 2, is just clearing the Tampa Bay area. We'll move up to 3. So here we are at about 3 o'clock. Let's move up to 4. All right, and this is where the storm begins to change. So you can still see the tight rotation right here from the eye to Tampa, and we're getting these winds coming off of the leading edge. You can see them coming up from Cape Coral and then headed out to the Gulf. But look at these steering winds that are coming off the Atlantic, still working to push this storm out. That does not change until about 6 o'clock. And here's what changes. You saw way down here around Sarasota, we were 60 miles out. It starts its turn here off Cape Coral and starts to come inland, and it's going to cross the state just south of Jacksonville. So we're going to go up to 6 a.m. This is where it sort of begins to change. Let's go up to 8 a.m. And now you can see that at this point, the steering winds have moved off. They're over closer to Orlando, Daytona, and the storm is actually beginning to impact Tampa Bay. 6 to 8 o'clock is where we're going to feel the hardest, strongest winds. It's when we're going to get the largest rainfall. Again, we think this is only a couple of hours over our region. If we move up to 11 o'clock a.m. tomorrow morning, you can see that we're now on the trailing end as opposed to the leading edge, and so conditions will start to improve pretty significantly by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if we go all the way out to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you can see the storm is out of our area, and we'll still have some winds aloft, and we may still have some rain, but we are very clearly on that trailing edge, and things will improve pretty dramatically. Okay, so I just want to also share some of the things that we've been doing to get ready for the storm. You probably have noticed an awful lot of activity on the outside of the building as we are gathering loose items and storing them safely away. We're just trying to prevent anything from becoming a projectile that might do damage or cause injury. We have updated our web page. There is now a notice on our web page with updates. So if you have friends and family who may be wondering how things are going, there's a small blurb, an update. We will try to change that with some regularity based upon how conditions on the ground change. We have activated the LCS hotline. And so that is now available. This is primarily should we lose power and you have friends and family who live out of the city or out of state. They're interested in trying to get an update on what's happening at Regency Oaks. We'll provide regular updates. I want to give you that number now. The hotline is 1-888-214-8464. And we'll put a graphic down at the bottom of the video so that you'll have that number as well. We are not anticipating any loss of power, but we want to prepare for it. On Friday afternoon, we topped off all the generators. We have the emergency generators pulled and on standby. And so everything we're thinking is this is not enough wind to cause a power outage, but we do want to be prepared just in case. We have pre-positioned all of our supplies for cleanup. We have the smaller portable emergency generators, the chainsaws, the wet vacs, the portable air conditioners. All of that is ready to go. We have lots of shop towels and fans. So in the event that Yerla and I should take some water, we have teams ready to go. They're on standby and we'll be able to respond appropriately. We have already pre-positioned our hurricane lanterns, our batteries, and some of those key essentials that we might need in the event of a storm. What I need you to be prepared to do is ride out this storm. We do not think at this point you need to activate your emergency plan. Your grab and go kit is not going to be necessary. We do not see any potential for an evacuation. This is a relatively minor storm. Our biggest threat, just like Charlie almost 15 years ago, the storm was tracking on a very clear direction, and at the last minute it turned right and went directly ashore. And so we always have to be prepared for that, although I can say that we've been tracking this storm for almost 5 days now. It's been very consistent on its track. It appears to be a well-organized, stable storm. And so the likelihood of this veering off in an unexpected direction at the last minute is really low. We will be here throughout. We have teams ready to go. We're going to keep residents safe. We're going to keep our team safe. We'll continue to provide you updates if there's a significant change. But at this point, this looks like a wind and water event. These are not going to be hurricane force winds, and Regency Oaks is going to weather this storm without any major issues. So thank you for letting me update you. Continue to watch 732, or if we have a more immediate update, we will call them all or text them all and make sure we send out a notification that way. Thanks and have a good, safe afternoon.